Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mi nombre es Edison Villasis and I want to introduce my friend. You can say your name better than me.
Mucho gusto, me llamo Daniel Ulloa, yo soy presidente del American Workforce Association, o sea, Asociación Trabajadores Americanos. I'm Dan Ulloa, I'm president of the American Workforce Association.
Daniel.
Sí.
Thank you for being here. I know we're going to be trying to do it in Spanish and English. I just want to tell everybody we have a lot of technical learnings that we're doing in every show and every day is different. I want to apologize from last week. We have a little problem with the camera, but the video is there. It's about the class that we're going to have for free in February 16. I want to introduce that. I'm very proud to put that out here. Thanks to Red Trucking for supporting that. We're going to just check some of the things of the settings that we have over here so we make sure that everybody's watching. So if you want to just page with me, we're going to be sharing with everybody. And here it is. It's that simple, It's that simple, Daniel.
Que chévere.
Que chévere. That's the things. For the people that speak English, the reason that we having this interview with Mr. Daniel is because right now in the state of New Jersey, right, correct me if I'm wrong, is a new wave of misclassification. How can you put it? You're fighting for this. You're advocating this. So, give me an introduction. What is misclassification? How this works? Just explain that to the people that are watching right now.
So when you go to work at a place, you get papers to fill out. So in a traditional job, you're what's known as a W-2. That's the name of the form that you fill out. And under that form, you can often get benefits, healthcare benefits, 401k, or a pension. But a lot of employers are giving their workers now Form 1099, where they're independent contractors or almost small businessmen, and in that way they're not really entitled then to benefits, they're not entitled to pension, they're not entitled to a minimum wage, they're not entitled to any number of protections that workers get.
Well, let me stop you right there. For the people that are listening right now, he's saying the misclassification is being used by a lot of companies for people that usually, or back in the days, used to fill out a W-2 form, become an employee, and get all kind of benefits, retirement, workers' comp, accidental insurance, everything, right?
Right.
Nowadays, that has changed. How did that change? What's the explanation? How do the people say it's changing? Why do something now? What is that you see is making this change?
Well, that's a good question. It's a slow, long process, but it's been getting quicker and accelerating over the years that companies are doing this. They want to save money, and there's nobody stopping them doing this. For example, they're able to get away with this. Workers aren't organized. There aren't really organizations not saying this. People don't understand the difference.
But Daniel, I'm trying, I know, but I want to make sure the people that are listening, to all of you that speak Spanish, you can send me questions if you want. I know it's very hard, and I'm going to try to do a translation. Little by little, we're going to do a little moment of translation, even if it takes a little longer than usually. But the idea is for you to understand what is a misclassification. Okay, what Daniel is saying is over the years is that being a transition that has been slowly but progressive, right?
Yes.
Slowly but progressive, which has created a lot of people have actually started working in companies under what? How do they get a job if they don't fill out a W-2? How do they fill out the work? How do they get paid?
Well, they get paid through a 1099 form.
1099. Let me ask you a question. Wait, let me stop you there. Here's where we come in. If you're thinking about that, we talk about workers, right? 1099. Do that sound familiar to you? 1099. What is a 1099? What is a 1099? Explain that. We got to explain the difference between a W-2 and a 1099 so people understand what is the difference.
So a 1099 is where you're an independent contractor where officially you're not an employee, but you're almost a small businessman who has a contract with the company. So you're a small businessman, so you don't need, and ideally, the benefits, the protections that a worker deserves and is entitled to, for example.
Okay, so
But that's not the catch.
what's the catch?
Well, the catch is that you're often really just treated as a worker where you don't have these things, you don't have the ability the way a lawyer or an accountant can sign this form and they can get business and they understand what's needed on their part to be a successful 1099 contractor. Most of the time they treat them like employees, they give them orders like employees. For example, that's a big part of it, the way that an independent contractor is given kind of like a broad, general thing to do and told to do it, while, a worker can be told, you have to address the customer this way, you have to line up the port a certain way, deal with the goods on the truck a certain way.
Okay. I want to just make sure if you just start watching us, okay. Danielle is here. Danielle Ulloa, right?
Yes.
Is here to help us understand why misclassification is actually something that's attacking the working class by not allowing them to organize, to receive benefits, to prepare for the future by having a retirement plan, right? Am I
Right,
correct?
that's very true.
And how do these affect the transportation industry? That's where we're going to go. Little by little, I want to make sure that Mr. Ulloa, okay, Daniel, has the ability to explain why we have to be concerned. I mean, if you're a truck driver, you're not an employee, you don't work for a company, okay? You have your own truck, in parentheses. Technically, in our goal, we get a 1099 because we're a small contractor, but lately the industry has changed, right? Now they challenging this. I mean, we're talking about a movement from the Teamsters. They actually is helping to this movement. They want to reclassify independent drivers in the state of New Jersey. I always going to say I like unions. I'm not against the union. I believe it's the middle class for the people that understand the history of this country was created by unions. Even though the unions at one point went to the left side by creating a lot of controversy with all the mixed funds and all the stuff, but that had nothing to do. That was the misclass. The unions were actually the people that helped create the middle class.
Yeah.
I mean, I know because I work with, I supported the Teamsters for 6 years, so I know, I learned everything from them, I like it. But at the same time, and this is something that we have a conversation prior to this meeting, and here's what's going to go. How is this going to affect us as independent drivers? Because I've been in this industry since I was 23 years old, okay? And I'm not getting any younger, but I started with that, with a 1099. I was independent contractor. And suddenly, why now? Why, after so many years, after more than 25 years, why now that we have this problem? Why is coming out now? Why it didn't happen in 1999? Why it didn't happen in 2001? Why is happening now? Why you think it's happening right now? And how is that going to affect the independent drivers?
Well, that's actually a good question. If you look at it, over like 40 years, it's been getting worse and worse. That a lot of truck drivers are now 1099s in the first place versus regular employees. And, companies are getting greedier and greedier. They're able to get away with it as unions are weaker and weaker. More conservatives are being elected to power, not only in New Jersey, New York, but also in Congress, for example. They're able to then, weaken laws. We get a Republican president who is able to appoint a Republican judge who then decides in favor of the corporations, not the truck drivers.
Well, but that's debatable, and this is why we have it over here. Daniel and I, we have a conversation for the people that don't know. Misclassification is happening right now with our industry. If you're a truck driver to drive a truck, if you have your own rig, your own truck, but you lease to a company, if you work for a company that makes a 1099 at the end of the year for you, you may be misclassified. Matter of fact, we have a case right now in a federal court. I mean, this is why we have this event right now tonight, because it's already getting, it's getting out there. It's already passed through the federal court, where they actually say, what was, you explain to them what happened in the big churches, the big courts over there in the United States. What happened? What was the judgment that they did there? A lot of people are happy about it, including your groups, because that's something that you've been trying to advocate.
So yes, so there was a court before the Supreme Court called New Prime versus Oliveira, and it said that a truck driver, 1099 contractor, is able to take his company to court and able to get a judge to decide on the case. Before, unfortunately, he had to go through the process of arbitration, forced arbitration, where they didn't have the option to go through the courts.
It's too many technical words. So, arbitration. What is arbitration? Let's explain that.
That's a good point.
Arbitration. What is arbitration? Something simple, something that you can tell the people, just arbitration is this, so make it simple. So they can understand why it went from arbitration to judgments. So how that works.
So the idea of arbitration is that you're in the room with the company's lawyer and maybe some third party, for example, that's supposed to be neutral, but that most often goes, in the favor of the company. The worker, the contractor loses out. A judge, in a legal setting, in a court, is going to be more impartial and is often, going to decide in favor of the worker.
Okay, it's impartial. Let's leave it at impartial. It's not, I don't think the judge is going to definitely decide in favor of the worker, but it's a better chances that they have more chances to win the case.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's let's leave it like that. I don't want to tell people that arbitration is bad. It's just a process that unfortunately helps corporations win cases more than judgments based in whatever amount of cases you have already have the chance to be involved with. The situation with our industry, and this is the part that I want to emphasize, because a lot of you guys, I know as a Spanish guy, and you have a background in Spanish, I think one of your parents is Spanish, we really never get involved in politics. We don't try to get involved in politics. Our goal is to just work. We don't want to get involved in anything, because everything that we get involved, unfortunately, for traditions that we bring from our countries, politicians lie, and getting involved in politics really don't help in any chances. Everything is the same, nothing changes, and that's the tradition that unfortunately the majority of immigrants from different countries have in their minds. But unfortunately here, we have to really understand the situation. Tell me, in some cases, going back to our industry, transportation industry, okay? We're talking about W-2 in a 1099 form. Okay, W-2 and a 1099 form. W-2 for employees, 1099 for independent contractors. We are a 1099, so we have to worry about 1099s. How is this going to change that? Say, for instance, if I used to lease to a company. I didn't have my own transportation company. I used to lease to a company back in the days. How this will affect me? I mean, how will this change in the better or in the worse? I mean, how is this, you think, in your worse? Why will you think this will help the majority of people that are looking at you right now are in transportation? How do you think this is going to help them?
That's a good question. So, in the original case that went before the Supreme Court, Oliveira was being treated as 1099 officially, but was really, losing out on a lot of the benefits of a worker. For example, he was making less than minimum wage as a 1099. If you divided the hours by the amount of money he was making. He had to lease a lot of things from the company and was losing money on a lot of his paychecks. So that's the type of thing that's really unjust. And if you have a situation like that now, you can go to court with your employee. You can sue them in court and go before a judge where you're able to get a better decision in your favor that way now. So in that type of you may not even have to go before the judge, but the threat, is going to ideally make companies treat their workers better.
But I'm telling you because I just want to be part. My idea of having these kind of programs for the people that are watching me is not because we want to just come in and sit down here and talk. Our goals is to educate you guys. Back in the days when we used to be 1990s, early 2000s, we didn't have this opportunity. A lot of people say why we don't do something. It's because unfortunately transportation in this country is not something that we can get everybody in a conference room or anybody in a closed location. It's really hard to get the drivers in a good place where everybody can come in. Even if you want to, the chances that you can make it happen is 1 in a million because it's too many drivers from different states. We don't live in New Jersey. All the drivers that come in the port, they come from Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. So if you want to tell everybody come in, we have a meeting next week, it's not going to happen. So this is why we create this show, because we understand over the years that we have to create some kind of communication. One people suggested that we do some news, paper news, but again, here comes the situation with paper news. Who's going to pay for it? Paper news is something that you want to do, you want to publicize something 1 week, but is that going to reach the people that you want to reach? So this is why we created this way of communication. Use Facebook the longest it's free, the longest that we can reach as many of you that are always supporting these events by watching these events and by giving us all the friendships that we got over the years. Because let's face it, Facebook didn't happen overnight. It took us almost since 2011. That's when we created this page. So 2011 to now is what, 9 years? Technically, right? Almost 8 years, going to 9 years. So it wasn't easy, ladies and gentlemen. But the idea of this page is not just to put things that you like and you don't like, things of communication. It's about education. Education is the more important tool the transportation drivers have right now. If you don't understand your industry, if you don't understand how to protect your license, you don't understand how to run your businesses, you're not going to be too long in this industry right now. The way the changes of laws that have happened, the enforcement of those laws that are happening, okay, are creating a lot of confusion in a lot of drivers that don't understand or don't have a place where they can get that information updated. And if you don't understand what is happening with this misclassification, that can change a lot in your life. Why is a misclassification, in my view, okay, something that I spoke to you prior to this conversation, why I don't agree with this misclassification? If I'm a person that like the unions, okay, misclassification, we reclassify every independent drivers, I'll be part of a union, which I like. I would love to have the benefits. But at the same time, I gotta understand something. If something happened, I like to watch, public networks, and I was watching yesterday something that caught my attention. It was a public show where the Port Authority, and you can check this. It was yesterday at 9 o'clock. The Port Authority is creating jobs for people from the service, the Navy, the Army, or any of the armed forces of the United States. And they're trying to bring all those retirements, all those people that serve our country to work. They're giving opportunities in the Port Authority to come in and bring the knowledge that they bring to work with them. And they were surprised. It was something that caught my attention. They were surprised that it was a whole amount of people that serve our country, but they didn't say anything when they called for these people to come out. They were afraid to say that they belong to the United Forces Army, And little by little, the Port Authority was given the opportunity for them to come out, and now they have a strong force coming out. They are growing up to a 5%. They want to go to a 5% increment of people from they work in their forces, and now they bring it back to the Port Authority, and they're almost there. They're 4.9%. But at the same time, this is the part that I don't like. This is what the Port Authority is doing, right? They're giving opportunities of job to these people. They have qualifications. They have their training. But what about the people that come in and they just want to drive a truck? What are we going to do with those people that serve the Army, that serve the Navy, the Air Force? They were in the service of this country that they don't want to work for the Port Authority because they feel that they can do better driving their own trucks. How are you going to tell these people they can make, decent wages if you do it properly? I'm not saying that everybody should own a truck, and we have this conversation. What are you going to tell these people? I saw a lot of people that are retiring from the U.S. forces driving trucks, and they are proud to drive their own rigs. They have the flags, they have the names, something that didn't happen in the Port Authority. People that were working in the Port Authority didn't want to tell anybody that I work in the Air Forces. But if you go to the ports, you see the trucks. Every single person that, the service, the United States forces, is proud. So what I'm trying to tell you is we're trying to change something that will maybe take that opportunity or become an entrepreneur, okay, and grow. I'm going to give a free message right now, a free commercial for a company called Best Trucking. Okay, Best Trucking starts with one truck. It's a commercial. You see it probably in TV. It's in all the channels in Channel 12. And he said that he went from one trucking to a fleet of trucking, and he wanted to give the opportunity to other drivers. That's how an entrepreneur starts, with one person, with one truck. And it happens to, if you see, last week we were here with a person from Red Trucking. Okay, again, let me say thank you to Red Trucking for supporting our efforts to educate the drivers. And he also was an independent driver who comes from a father that was an independent driver. Okay, they created a company that now is supporting other drivers to be independent and is even giving money to support these education programs that we're trying to create in the association. So, this is the part that I don't agree. And I want to make sure that you guys understand, we don't just want to come over here and agree on everything that happens here. We don't have to agree on everything. This is why these conversations are very needed. And I want to give you a chance, Daniel, to explain and try to make a case why you think these independent drivers, okay, who own their own rigs, if they manage to educate themselves to properly understand how to manage a company, they can be very economical solvent. Okay, so tell me, if you can come and tell them to understand, tell them why you think they have to go and try to get this support, this misclassification, just, in your own words.
So I would say that while there are great cases like fast trucking, that's not really what normally happens. What normally happens is guys don't know what they're getting into. For example, with the taxes, that you have to save money to pay taxes at the end of the year, that you have to save for your own pension, you have to buy your own health care. People don't understand that. They might take on debt, but they don't understand that there isn't enough education on that.
Hey, let me call you that there. And I agree in that. I don't say that everybody that owns a truck should own a truck, okay? Unfortunately, if you go to college, it's to educate yourself how to manage. It's people that go to get a degree in how to manage companies, corporations, and everything else. CEOs or multinationals get millions and millions of dollars because they know how to run a company. Not just anybody can run a company. But if you think about it, the independent drivers in this area, they don't even have a school where to go to see what it's all about. They don't come in. They don't have opportunity to get in a training session where they can understand how to actually pay for, like you say, the taxes. How can they do to pay for the health insurance? How can they manage to save some money for when they break down? And that's the part that's missing in this industry. Okay, I don't agree, like I say, with everything that everybody should be reclassified as an employee because of those things. Like I say, let's put this straight. I want to make sure that I don't know if I'm sending the right message. Just because you drive a truck doesn't mean that you deserve to be an owner of a truck. I think that everybody that is going to be an owner of a truck have to go to a training prior to buying a truck so they can understand what they're going to. And if they see how much hard work is involved on it, then they can make the choice of buying a truck or not. Because you're right, it's a lot of people that buying trucks, they don't even understand how to read a lease agreement because they don't even know what is a lease agreement. And that creates a lot of problems. And I agree in that part. But I think the misclassification, trying to reclassify everybody, and to become just employees, takes the opportunity for people that come from different countries, takes the opportunity to people that come from the United States forces. They are retired from and they want to come and just get a decent job or just want to be driving a truck because they like it. Takes the opportunity for other truck drivers' kids for coming in here and becoming entrepreneurs. Maybe they become the next guy who owns another best company. So that's the part that I don't agree, But again, this is just a conversation, and we just want to give 2 points of why I don't agree and why I think should give you efforts to everybody that's here to understand why they should become misclassified. So based on that, go ahead, tell them what will be the benefits of being reclassified as an employee if, or how do you think independent drivers, I know that you were like checking all the independent drivers, how can a person, say for instance, is a person that doesn't agree with what I say, and he want to be reclassified, what will be the things that he will need to show in order to be reclassified in court? Or he want to open a case in court. What do you think should be the cases in our industry, in our core industry? What do you think he needs to be reclassified?
So to be reclassified, you really have to prove that you're being treated as a worker, for example, that you're being really given direct orders by the company, that you don't really have leeway the way a consultant would. And there's actually a very strict criteria in New Jersey about what makes a worker versus a independent contractor, and it's something that's getting easier to prove in that way. That's really great. So if you're a worker, then you don't have to really worry more about, like the nuances of taxes. Now you're going to get your paycheck at the end of the week. It's going to be really simple. You have benefits that it should be coming to you. Health care, health insurance, that way.
Okay, so let me give you an example how this works, and this is why, and guys, this is something that right away for the people that are trying to understand this, we're going to try to do it in Spanish. It's going to be really hard to do it because we're going to try because the language barrier, okay? But here's the situation, and I'm going to give you a sample. Let's talk about, you say that a person should be misclassified once the person receives orders or they can't retrieve from them. They have to follow no matter what. And because of that, they have to be, reclassified. It have to be, it's not an independent contractor. That becomes a employee. So technically, if you ask me, if you put to see this view, we probably, everybody that has been in Sealand in the last couple of weeks should work for Sealand. Because if you go to Sealand, once you enter that gate, they tell you what to do. You can't complain. You can't say nothing. You have to be there for 8 hours. And if you say something, they throw you out. So is that a misclassification? Maybe we working for the wrong.
That sounds pretty bad. That if you can't say anything.
This is a terminal. This is a private terminal. I'm not trying to say, but this is a private terminal. This is allowing an independent contractor or a company driver to go inside there. But by being inside their headquarters, okay, where they have all these terminals, we follow the rules. So that means that we are working for APM terminal. And that's a real fact. I can show you videos. If you see this page, you can see videos day and night time. We're sitting there from 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. That's when we're allowed to park it outside. We get there. Sometimes we reach our destination by 6 o'clock, and we sit there from 6 o'clock until they close. I have videos and tapes and pictures of that. So how does that work? Is that a misclassification? This is an argument, and I'm giving you, it's kind of, why is you going to have that argument? Because, it's the same thing, When you get a contract, okay, sometimes you have to take the good with the bad. Nothing is always good, nothing is always bad, But here's the situation. This is a scenario. If we're going to be misclassified and we're going to be reclassified, and if we want to be reclassified, I might as well choose who I'm going to be reclassified to work for. And the way that I see it, I should work for APM because I'm spending my whole day in APM. 90.9% of the drivers here are spending the work in the poor area, are spending their day there. So are they going to be reclassified to work with APM? what do you think about this scenario? I mean, it's something, because it comes to the point, we're taking orders from them. Like I say, remember that as soon as you walk in, it's somebody that's going to tell you, a security, a yard manager is going to tell you exactly what to do. And we spend the whole day there. So you see the point that I'm trying to make? That's the misclassification that it's really hard to get. And like I say, if you have something to say, guys, if you're getting confused with this conversation, if you want to have some questions, you feel free to put the comments in there so you can understand this. And if you don't have that, if you listen to this interview tomorrow, you can also communicate your questions and comments and try to come in February 16. Let me introduce my program now. You see, education is the power. February 16, we're going to have a free seminar. We're going to be talking about how to become an independent driver, properly become an independent driver. So if you're thinking about what to do, what's the first step that you got to do to see if you classify, misclassify, first of all, you have to come to our training session to understand how an independent contractor should evolve. Is that the right one? How can they become one? So that's number one. So if you want, it's February 16, please enroll. We have their website in the PortDriverAssociation.com. And coming back to the conversation, what do you think about that argument? I mean, that's something that's going to happen in all the terminals. I mean, who is responsible for that case? If we've been taking orders all day from one terminal, who's responsible? The company, ourselves? Who will have to pay for that?
Well, that really does sound like a company is responsible, because, as I understand it, I don't think you're really getting paid there to sit around for 8 hours.
Well, the majority doesn't get paid because, again, the situation is coming to this court. People don't read the lease agreement. And if you give you a contract, if I come over here and I say, listen, Daniel, can you sign this contract? Put your name and your date. Everything will be fine. You think you should do that?
Well, see, that's also one of the problems is that, usually do you think these guys are negotiating, what they sign? Usually if you're an independent contractor, you're able to negotiate your contracts. They're like, oh, I don't want that. We should talk about that. But for most of these, you probably just sign the form.
But that's exactly, you see, you say something right. And this is something that you guys got to understand. He's saying something that's 100% a factor in this industry, in transportation. 90.9% of the drivers that go and work in different companies don't read what they sign. They think that whatever the company puts in paper is what it has to go through, right? And that's the problem that many drivers have. You don't have that, but that's what I say. But that's part of the problem, because that's the reclassification situation, where a lot of drivers don't have the bargaining power of a union. They have the power of having a lawyer. They have the power of knowledge of what's the good thing or bad thing about a contract, a group contract. And matter of fact, I wish, this is the situation that I don't get, Misclassification. We have a group of people working for a supermarket. I don't want to say the name of the supermarket. They are part of the union. How these people are going to work now? Are they going to be misclassified also? Okay, are they going to be reclassified? Because they belong to the union. So, if you work in New York, they work under a union contract. You don't have a union card, you don't work in New York. That's the way it works in Manhattan and most of the union sites that they have in New York City. So it's really hard to explain, but the situation is this. The state of New Jersey, I want you to just explain what the state of New Jersey is doing to try to understand who is misclassified and who needs to be reclassified, and in a short words that you think that they should know.
So under the new governor, Phil Murphy, he's really made an effort to understand the issue of misclassification, and has set up in the Department of Labor and Workforce Development a panel that's really reviewing this issue, seeking to tighten enforcement of misclassification, tighten the laws that will make it easier to become an employee that way and get the benefits and protections you're entitled to.
Okay, so but the protections, when you say protections, and I understand these, I mean, I don't, I'm trying to just make sure that you guys, the people that are out there, trying to understand what is this misclassification, how is this going to act. If the governor of New Jersey wins this case and reclassify everybody that's misclassified right now, what will happen to the independent drivers? They own their own trucks. How do you think that will work based on your idea of this thing?
That's a good question to say, like, if everybody's misclassified, because it seems like it's more of a slow process where on a more case by case level people can be reclassified. If the whole industry changes, that's very different, especially if you already own your truck and you enjoy it. Ideally, people would be able to keep their trucks and keep their businesses, but like it would likely work company by company. And to say like if a company was like really egregiously treating their workers badly under the idea of 1099 contractors, that they were really suffering because they didn't have these benefits, that they weren't able to get like unemployment insurance, for example. That's a big thing.
Well, you're right about that. Being in those sports, I mean, you got to understand, guys. I don't know how many of you are really following this thing about misclassification. What he's saying is true. It's a lot of people that I believe have to be reclassified. I believe something had to happen. I just don't agree in how they want to do it. I believe that some people, I mean, if you want to do some kind of business instead of just reclassifying because they don't feel like it, I think they, like everything else, they should get at least a course or a certification that they receive a training how to manage a company. I mean, don't you think you agree that somebody have the right to understand how something is managed? I mean, that should be a good idea. It's just,
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, there should be like a lot of like education that way. It shouldn't be like buyer beware type situation the way it really seems, and companies can't really be paying people or have a system set up where they're making like less than minimum wage or making bad money, the way it happened in Missouri, that it went all the way up to the Supreme Court.
So, and this is the situation for people that say, what is that kind of situation where a driver will be misclassified? Well, here's the situation for people that are watching and don't understand our industry. They probably don't know. Unfortunately, some of the states, New Jersey, because in New Jersey it's illegal to lease to own. Lease to own was a program that was very attractive for a lot of companies to use because it gives the opportunity to call drivers to lock into a contract where they be granted the opportunity to purchase a truck once they continue working in the company, right? That's one of the major problems that they have right now, because these companies will say, I'm going to make it simple. You come to work for me. I will give you a truck that you will have to, don't give any down payment. We will agree on a price. We will take all the deductions weekly, okay? And you will have to just drive for me, and that's the trick. Nothing wrong with that. The problem comes, and here's what the misclassification has a point, is that these drivers didn't understand the fine print. The fine print established that, yes, you're going to be the owner of that truck. You're going to take care of that truck. You're going to keep that truck. You're going to live in the truck. You're going to maintain the truck. You're going to pretty much do whatever you want with the truck. And here's the fine print. The longest you work for me, and only me. And that's the part that I don't agree with, the parts that, these companies take advantage of that. Why I don't agree? If you don't drive a truck, you never understand this situation, but unfortunately, every company has a cycle, up and down, like every other industry. And it's a point where the downsides can actually leave by independent drivers that use these lease agreements to be in a downhole because they don't make enough money to make for the weekly payments. And that's something that the unions are trying to prove out there, because in California, this is the situation. This is why I want to bring this over here, because a lot of people don't understand why a lot of drivers in the state of New Jersey, in the area on the East Coast, think that California is 100 better than here. tons of ways better than here, but there's a lie. They have the same problem. They are not organized. They have a lot of problems, and this reclassification is happening more in California than here, or they're being misclassified. They're fighting to be reclassified in California more than here because, unfortunately, okay, and it's not unfortunately something that have to be done because if we want to live in this world, we have to worry about pollution. We all live here. We all need the air. We all need to have a place to go. We need clean water. We need air. Without air, you can breathe. Without you can breathe, pretty much you're gonna die. So I agree 100% that we have to do something. Just the way it was put in place in California was a little too strong because nobody understood how the transportation industry worked. Okay, the transportation industry didn't have a paycheck for everybody to make a profit because the way the terminals are a disaster. I implore the government of New Jersey. I know for the people that understand, the Port Authority is divided in New York and New Jersey, so the two port authorities will have to come into the terminal. Okay, I understand the problems with the machines, the waterfront commissions, the drivers, the workers. It's a lot of problems that they were trying to fix. It's not going to be fixable overnight, but something can change. We got to do something to change, and I think a lot of people are making a lot of efforts to change. But coming back to California, what happened in California, for the guys that don't know, is a lot of these drivers that have old trucks were banned from the terminals. Is that a fact, right? You ever heard the story? When the Port Authority decided to change the emissions for the better of the ports, because it was unfortunately was making a lot of people in the surrounding areas of the terminal sick. Same thing they're claiming over here. The Port Authority of California established that they all have to buy newer trucks. And many of these independent drivers, due to the conditions that we work, where we don't have a stable check because of our independency, okay, we didn't have nothing safe, and nobody was expecting that this was going to come like that, because if you want to buy a car, you plan, you think when you're going to do it, because you're going to be ready and prepared. But they got everybody by surprise in California, even though that they were planning. Nobody was expecting this thing happening overnight. And many of these independent drivers didn't have the car, didn't have the money to buy the new trucks. So what the companies did, because they saw they were losing the drivers, they got into this list to own trucks. Okay, and that's why in California they have so many laws that are suing these companies. Lawyers that are suing these companies, including the Teamsters, because they took advantage of this problem with the independent drivers have no choice, because there was not many jobs available at the time, and they like the independency. Because what is independency for the independent drivers? I mean, if you think about what is the difference between a company driver and independent drivers, I can tell you, I was both at one time. A company driver has the ability to choose where he goes, when he works, okay? Sometimes he can choose in what kind of money he can get. The majority of the time is that the allowance size is that you pay for everything they fix. But the company driver don't have to worry about that. They just get a paycheck and they gotta go everywhere, anywhere, anytime, because you're an employee. So a lot of these old drivers in California refuse to do that, and they choose to lease these trucks to own. Am I correct about that? And what happened was that because of this, a lot of drivers actually were taking advantage. How do they get taking advantage? Because they pay for fuel. That's a fact. They pay for the truck. They pay for the insurance. Okay? They pay for every single problem the truck had. And on top of that, they make a truck payment to the same company, which is nothing wrong. It's your truck. You have to pay for everything, The problem was the driver was not allowed to leave that company. Okay? If you follow the videos that we put over here on Facebook, you will see that we have a driver that was complaining that he was actually, after all the expenses, after all the truck payments, after everything that happened, with his truck, he didn't even have money to even get fuel for the next week. He didn't have money to pay for food. And that's a fact, okay? But that's because of the that's because of the lease agreement that he signed. So that's the problem and why a lot of drivers in California are getting together, they suing these companies that took advantage, some already win, and that's the part that, but this didn't happen in New Jersey because I don't know if you know, but in the state of New Jersey, it's illegal to lease a truck. I know a lot of companies from other states have capped those plans, but in the state of New Jersey, I understand in a meeting that I had with the person from the New Jersey Motor Trucking Association, it's illegal to lease a truck. So nobody has that kind of problem over here. And that's why we don't see that much amount of people getting involved in these kind of lawsuits.
See, that's good that
Yeah.
way. That's really good actually. Then you have because the case that went to the Supreme Court, Mr. Oliveira was having a similar situation to the guys in California, where he had to pay like all those things. He had to buy gas from them. He had to pay all these expenses, and at the end of the day, he really wasn't making really good money, and that's really not like the way it's supposed to be working. But unfortunately.
But let's go back to the same thing. I mean, this happens because places like this association don't exist.
Exactly.
This is
That's
you know
true. This is good. We have the Port Drivers Association.
I can thank you for saying that. A lot of people don't understand what the association is about. The education is unfortunately we have the majority of people that work in the poor area, the majority of people that work in this industry, transportation industry in container, okay, a group of minority people, okay, and because of the language barrier, because people come from different countries, they speak the language very little. Many won't even understand this program.
Lo siento, señoras.
So it has that problem, but we're trying to change that. Okay, and like I say, Mr. Daniel is here because he want to make sure that if you have, listen, and I'm going to agree on something with you. Okay, so let me put myself in your side. I don't want to be just fighting against you because I don't think it's fair. But let me go in your side now. If you feel the company you work, okay, is taking advantage of you, okay, in every single way, where they don't respect the agreement, they force you. This is how you're going to be misclassified. This is the steps that you're going to be misclassified, and this is the questions that you're going to be asked. Do you take orders from your dispatch? Do they tell you where to go? Do they set the prices and the rates that they give you? Okay? Do they tell you what hours you have to work? Do they tell you if you have to stay in a place you like it or not? If you have all those 5 points already, you're misclassified. Right?
Yeah, especially, was the fourth one? That was like a really good one. Yeah, the hours.
The hours.
The hours are important.
If you're sitting in a place for hours without getting paid, and they force you to stay there, they force you to go. Let's put an example. Okay? This is the tricky part of this. You see, this is the part that I'm trying to teach you. It's not that I don't understand your side. I understand both sides. But here's the part that I'm trying to teach you. If you see it in Sealand, since 8 o'clock, and 8 p.m. Sealand is the best place to tell you. If you sit down in Sealand from 8 o'clock, and then they tell you they're going to pay you 3 hours after that you sit in there, because that's the agreement. And after the 3 hours, you decide that you have to go because you have an appointment with the doctor, because your family is waiting, because you just don't care, and you leave, and they get upset, and they throw you out, then you were misclassified.
Yeah, right? That's pretty bad then, that you're not able to leave that way. If you're a lawyer, a lawyer sets his own hours quite often, unless like he's going to court, for example. If you have an accountant, accountant makes his own hours.
Yeah, and
that's supposed to be the benefit of being a 1099 contractor.
And I want to read your comments, okay? Because this is a very important topic, and I want to make sure that we put emphasis in this because you guys, if you drive your own truck, you got to be very careful where you want to be. You want to be independent, or you want to be misclassified, or you want to be reclassified. Let's put it that way, right?
Declassified, yeah.
Declassified. So you got to be careful what you wish for, because in one hand, you may be getting paid by the hour, okay? You may get benefits, but you may never get the amount of money you're getting right now, because once you get these deductions, you may not even have the chance to keep your own truck. I mean, let's face it. I don't want to plug this, but the idea is the right idea, depending on what I hear out there, is that they say If we reclassify every single independent driver, the driver will be allowed to get paid by the hour, and their trucks will be getting a 1099 for the rental of the trucks. Okay, that sounds in a perfect world, perfect. But that's because you didn't understand the laws. If you want to rent your truck, you have to be a special company. You have to be a rental company. And this is for the people that are trying to tell you that all you have to do is be reclassified and you're going to have your truck and rent it to the company because the company is going to take the 1099 for rental of the truck. It doesn't work that way. I went and I read about these things. And unfortunately, in the state of New Jersey, I don't know about the other states, you have to have a license to rent your truck. You ever hear about that?
Did not, no.
Well, now you know. That's the difference of being learning and reading and talking to people with knowledge. You can't just get 3 trucks and rent it. That doesn't work like that. So you gotta understand how that works. You have to have a license to rent your trucks. You can't just say, okay, I'm gonna be Penske, I'm gonna rent trucks. That doesn't work like that. You have to be a dealer, you have to have a license, you have to have insurance. So if you want to be reclassified, be careful. Think about this. You may not be able to rent your truck to a trucking company just because you don't have the proper licenses. So what that means is that you may be ended up being reclassified and become an employee, and that's it. Sell your truck, give it away, whatever happens, but you can't rent your truck. I'm not saying it. Read, use Google, go anywhere that you can search and search about it. You can't just rent a truck. Okay, in the state of New Jersey, I don't know about any other states, but you can't rent a truck unless you have the proper papers. Otherwise, a lot of people will become Penskes. But that's what people don't know. So imagine, so if you don't think this can change your life, we put these things, we establish that this is going to change your life. Why? Because if you don't understand, you're going to lose your truck. The amount of money that independent drivers make, if they manage their money properly and they pay their taxes properly, they can make a nice, decent wage. Okay? But if you don't understand this situation, 50% of your salary may disappear. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody, I'm just trying to give you facts. This is how it works. So I'm not going to say that this is true or false because unfortunately I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to just tell you, do your homework, talk about it, read about it, search about it. Is that correct? Is that the right way to do something?
Yeah, try to research about it, learn more, read the fine print that way. You know, the devil's in the details. El diablo está en las detalles.
El diablo está en los detalles, fine lines. Para las personas que hablan español, ¿ok? La reunión de hoy día, vamos a tratar de hacer un poquito en español para que ustedes tengan, ¿ok? Las personas que están ustedes escuchando este mensaje, estamos hablando de el señor Daniel Ulloa, está aquí porque él está luchando para que muchas de las personas que trabajan como empleados independientes sean reclasificados como empleados, porque muchas de las compañías, no estamos hablando solo de transportación, estamos hablando de muchas en general en todos los Estados Unidos, están aprovechándose de estas personas que están bajo una configuración de independientes y les están quitando la oportunidad de ser empleados de una compañía que les ofrezca beneficios, planes médicos, retiro, unemployment, workers' compensation, y eso también, ¿entiendes? Entonces lo que nosotros estamos tratando de hacer esta noche es viendo los dos aspectos. Él no pertenece a ninguna unión, no trabaja para ninguna unión, es un grupo independiente que está luchando porque se haga esta reclasificación, porque está entendiendo que hay muchas personas inmigrantes que están siendo aprovechadas por jefes corruptos que aprovechan de esta falta de información y que hacen que simplemente la gente no se dé cuenta, ¿verdad? ¿Estamos hasta ahí de acuerdo?
Sí, estamos de acuerdo.
en pocas palabras, en español, si puedes, y yo te voy a ayudar en lo que se pueda, diles qué tú crees de lo que está sucediendo con esto de la misclasificación de los camioneros. Vamos a enfocarnos en el programa de los camioneros. ¿Qué tú crees que debe ser para los camioneros? ¿Por qué tú crees que los camioneros deberían ser parte de esta misclasificación?
La cosa es que si tú eres un manejador de un truck que es independiente, no vas a tener beneficios, no vas a tener días de vacaciones oficialmente de pagado, por ejemplo. No vas a tener un plan de pensión o algo que se llama 401k, como 401k. Por ejemplo, las cosas tradicionales con trabajando por una compañía, especialmente si tienes un sindicato. La cosa es que cuando cuando es misclassified, no tú necesitas pagar, por ejemplo, por tu gasolina, todas las cosas de tu truck, porque es como un negocio pequeño. Es la problema allá, por ejemplo. Pero las personas no saben las compañías saben, ellos quieren sacar la plata, el dinero que es tu dinero, que tú no sabes que necesitas pagar por impuestos, por ejemplo, por otras cosas de ser un tipo de negocio pequeño.
Y esa es una cosa que nosotros estamos tratando de educarlos aquí. La idea de estos programas es para que ustedes puedan entender. Nosotros quisiéramos tener reuniones más seguidas con muchos de ustedes. Lamentablemente es imposible por cuestiones de simplemente de espacio, de lugar y de tiempo, porque no todos tenemos el mismo horario. Este es un horario de 7, lo hacemos todos los miércoles a las 7 de la noche, porque sabemos que al siguiente día muchos de los choferes se van a sentar en líneas en los terminales y van a tener la oportunidad de ver cosas ahí que no pueden hacer nada más que esperar. Entonces van a ver estos videos. Pero lo que estamos tratando de hacer en este momento es educarlos acerca de qué es la reclasificación, qué es la misclasificación que estamos haciendo, por qué queremos ser reclasificados. Daniel está aquí en el lado de apoyar la reclasificación a camioneros, no en camioneros, a cualquier persona independiente o contratista independiente que en realidad es un empleado, pero que piensa que es contratista independiente. Y lamentablemente para nosotros, debido a la forma de nuestro trabajo, nosotros estamos en una línea demasiado finita. Yo creo que estaríamos en la línea más extrema de todos los casos que tú debas ver, porque somos empleados independientes, porque tenemos nuestro propio camión, escogemos, y al mismo tiempo estamos como choferes de compañía, porque nos están dando a nosotros órdenes de qué es lo que tenemos que hacer. No escogemos nuestro trabajo dependiendo de la compañía. Muchos de los choferes están diciéndoles lo que tienen que hacer, y a los choferes que se enojan o quieren decirle no a algo, automáticamente son votados. Y esa es una de las cosas principales que nos deja a nosotros en una línea finita. Es más,
¿Verdad? Sí.
Estamos en eso, ¿verdad? Porque si estamos hablando de que somos reclasificantes, o sea, vamos a decir que somos independientes. ¿Ok? ¿Qué es un independiente? ¿Qué es lo que hace una persona independiente? ¿Ok? ¿Qué es lo que hace una persona independiente? Tiene su propio negocio.
Sí.
Tiene sus propios customers.
Sí.
Pone sus propios rates.
Sí.
Establece las horas que trabaja.
Sí.
No depende de ningún jefe para decir lo que tiene que hacer y no sigue órdenes de nadie más.
Sí, porque tú eres el jefe en esa
Es tu compañía.
manera, sí.
Ok, son nosotros, camioneros independientes, para los que tenemos un poco de conocimiento, que es un grupo pequeño de nuestra industria, sí hacemos. Nosotros sí tenemos un orden, nosotros sí tenemos nuestra propia forma de trabajar, nosotros sí demandamos para un grupo pequeño, no digo todos, lo que queremos ganar, y nosotros ponemos nuestras propias bases de lo que hacemos. Ahora, no estoy diciendo que ustedes, ok, todos hagan eso, porque si fueran todos y estuvieran haciendo todo lo que ustedes quieren, las líneas en sí LAN no estuvieran de largas. Pero hay muchos que sí cobran dinero por estar en esas líneas. Y quiero leer uno de los comentarios que hacen aquí mientras estamos acá, ¿ok? Dice una de las cosas, el problema es que cualquier persona puede comprar un camión y entrar en esta industria y cogen trabajo sin saber. Señores, yo creo que el problema no es que cualquier persona entre, el problema es que no hay centros educativos, lugares de educación para estas personas. Porque todo el mundo puede ser jefe, pero ¿jefe de qué? ¿Cómo tú entiendes que es un negocio? Todas las personas tienen un sistema diferente. ¿Qué tú crees de esto? Esa pregunta, todo el mundo, ¿crees que eso es justo decir que cualquier persona puede entrar y por eso estamos como estamos en la industria del transporte?
No, no, eso no es el problema porque hay personas diferentes en todas las industrias. Por ejemplo, no es cualquier, la problema es no con cualquier persona. El problema es, por ejemplo, no hay un centro, no hay una escuela donde puedes saber, aprender estas cosas sobre esta industria, sí.
Ok, mira, aquí hay una pregunta muy interesante y estoy leyendo, generalmente no leo las preguntas en vivo, pero las estoy leyendo porque son preguntas que quiero que hagan. Por ejemplo, dice José Hernández, nos está diciendo, ¿dónde está esa compañía que da beneficios? Señores, si usted es chofer de compañía, ¿verdad? Si usted renuncia a su camión, usted puede conseguir muchas compañías hoy en día que ofrecen buenos beneficios. Pero si usted renuncia al camión, tiene que darse cuenta que usted está renunciando a todo lo que viene con el camión. Renuncia a los dolores de cabeza, renuncia a los problemas de transportación, renuncia a tener agrevaciones con el jefe porque no le quiere pagar. Y gana beneficios médicos, beneficios por hora, gana la habilidad de poder ir a cualquier lado donde que le diga el jefe sin que usted reclame. O sea, es una balanza en esta industria, es una balanza peligrosa. Como les digo, nosotros estamos en una línea bien finita. Yo creo que estamos en los dos lados. Y esa es una de las cosas que queremos hacer. Daniel estaba explicando en inglés, y voy a ayudarte un poquito con el español, que lamentablemente muchas compañías no ayudan a los camioneros, a los choferes y se aprovechan de ellos. Y eso es una verdad. Sucede todos los días. Y muchos no tienen en caso de plan de retiro. A mí, no hablemos de plan de retiro, hablemos de emergencias, de cualquier situación. No tienen un desempleo, por caso si te votan de una compañía,
Es importante.
Es muy importante, pero como les digo, si ustedes se preparan en una forma asistiendo a seminarios o buscando personas como nuestras organizaciones a que les ayuden a educarse, yo creo que puede haber una resolución del problema. Ahora, nosotros estamos hablando solo de los buenos. ¿Qué pasa con las compañías? Vamos a ver en el momento de las compañías. Vamos a hablar de las compañías. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué tú crees de estas compañías que son de camioneros mismo, que crecieron y tienen 3, 4 camioneros? ¿Cómo tú les dirías a ellos que lo que están haciendo puede cambiar o puede ser mejorado? ¿Qué tú crees que ellos deberían hacer en este momento para sus choferes o sus camioneros independientes?
Bueno, ellos pueden hablar con ellos sobre las cosas que ellos necesitaron, los problemas que ellos tienen, que si tú necesitas quedar en la compañía por tantas horas, por ejemplo, puedes reschedule o tener horas diferentes. La cosa es que es muy difícil en esa manera porque no es un empleado propio, tienes compañías, pero tú puedes decir a tus compañeros que debes aprender muchas cosas sobre esta industria, por ejemplo, y saber la diferencia porque no es un empleado propio.
Y esa es la verdad. yo les digo una cosa, no los queremos aburrir con nuestro programa, generalmente es una hora. Nosotros nos estamos saliendo un poquito de schedule. Quiero hablar con Daniel aquí con ustedes porque este problema ya está sucediendo en el estado de New Jersey. Quiero llamar otra parte del problema. Compañías van a hacer el famoso Workers' Compensation, que tuvimos un programa completo de Workers' Compensation. Compañías, los choferes independientes que tienen 2, 3 camiones, tengan mucho cuidado porque ustedes son compañías que tienen su propia autoridad y que sin darse cuenta están trabajando para subcontratistas para otros y están teniendo un problema de donde estamos hablando, beneficios, pagos médicos, y pueden meterse en un problema. Si usted quiere entender más de esto, nosotros decimos programas de Workers' Compensation que lo pueden ver ahí en la página de nuestra página Facebook. Y podemos seguir hablando de muchas cosas más que van a pasar. Pero la realidad del caso para toda la gente hispana es que yo les recomendaría que se eduquen un poquito más, lean un poco más acerca de lo que está sucediendo con esta reclasificación y entiendan que puede cambiarle la vida completamente. A favor, en contra, no sé, eso lo depende de usted. ¿Crees que es un comentario correcto lo que estoy haciendo?
Oh, sí.
Si usted quiere enterarse más, nosotros vamos a estar haciendo seminarios acá, vamos a estar educando gente aquí. El 16 de febrero vamos a tener un seminario completamente gratuito gracias a Red Trucking, lo sigo mencionando porque fueron muy amables en ayudarnos a crear este programa. Vamos a tener aquí, queremos hablar una conversación, queremos que ustedes vengan, pero no a una reunión ¿cómo se llama? A una reunión de educación para que aprendan, tengan cuestionarios, estas preguntas de estas cosas y muchas cosas más que podemos hablar si se nos presenta el tiempo. Tenemos una agenda preparada, pero si hay oportunidad vamos a hablar de ciertas cosas. Al mismo tiempo quiero agradecerte, Daniel, una vez más. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros.
Nada, señor.
A ustedes, señores, quiero agradecerles. Daniel, ya sabes, nosotros vamos a tener, es más, te quiero invitar aquí en delante de toda la gente, a que si tú necesitas o quieren, ustedes, él es amigo de nuestra página en Facebook, right? Tú estás ahí. Si ustedes tienen más preguntas, él habla español, un poquito diversificado.
Siento más que puedo decir, lo siento.
Él entiende bien el español, lo que pasa es que como todas las personas que hablan 2 idiomas es un poco difícil transferir esas ideas al lenguaje que quieren. Pero si usted quiere más, puede conseguirlo ahí. Los invito, si ustedes piden, nosotros podemos hacer otra conferencia acerca de esto. Es más, podemos hacer una reunión aquí. Ustedes son los que mandan. Estos programas no lo hacemos para tener viewers el primer día de miles de viewers, sino lo hacemos para que ustedes, cuando estén en las líneas, esperando por una caja por 3, 4, 5 horas, puedan tener la oportunidad de irse educando y no desaprovechar esas horas que estamos ahí sin hacer nada. Y ojalá que ustedes entiendan el mensaje, ojalá que sigan aprovechando, ojalá que apoyen a la organización. No les pedimos dinero porque sabemos que no lo tienen, pero sí les pedimos que se suscriban, que atiendan a los eventos, porque si la gente ve que ustedes tienen énfasis en de asistir a estos eventos, podemos seguir haciéndolos más adelante. Ustedes son los únicos que se van a beneficiar en grupo. El conocimiento es poder, right? En inglés voy a decir, power is knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
There you go. Si ustedes quieren, señores, ustedes son los que tienen la última voz. Gracias una vez más a todos ustedes por estar con nosotros. No se olviden, vamos a seguir teniendo más programas como hoy, educándolos. Y si usted tiene alguna cosa o alguna pregunta o quiere que hagamos un programa, que yo sé que muchos me están diciendo, ¿por qué no hablamos de los terminales, de las largas líneas de APN, del abuso que tienen dentro de los terminales? Sí los vamos a hablar, pero con las personas correspondientes. Y vamos a tratar de estoy haciendo lo imposible por tratar de traer a esas personas para que le den la cara y nos ayuden a entender por qué nosotros tenemos que ser siempre las últimas gomas del tráiler, pero queremos hacerle de una forma ordenada y con las personas que tienen las respuestas y que nos pueden dar algo de respuestas que tengan sentido. Así que, señores, espero que les haya gustado este programa. Muchísimas gracias. Daniel, las últimas palabras.
Bueno, señores, debes aprender las cosas sobre tu industria, debes leer la cosa en fine print para saber esas cosas, los problemas que vas a tener. Debes seguir aprendiendo. Y si quieres saber más de mi grupo, debes buscar American Workforce Association en Facebook.
Ok, señores, muchísimas gracias a nuestro camarógrafo una vez más. Muchas gracias por su ayuda. Señores, estaremos viéndonos la próxima semana si tenemos algo interesante que hablar. Muy buenas noches.
Adiós.